You've been doing everything you were told would transform your life. You visualize every morning with hope in your chest. You speak your affirmations with intention. You write, you meditate, you try to stay aligned, and you try to hold a high vibration even on days when your heart feels heavy. You tell the universe you trust its timing. You remind yourself that manifestation is real. And yet, when you look around, your life still reflects pieces of the same patterns you've been trying so hard to rise above. Different days, same emotional echoes. New desires, old results. You try to convince yourself that you're close, that something is shifting, that change is coming. But deep inside, a quiet frustration lingers, whispering the question you're almost afraid to ask. Why isn't anything changing? Why does it feel like the same situations keep repeating in different forms? Why does your inner world keep circling back to the same doubts, the same fears, the same disappointments? Here's the truth most people never hear. Manifestation isn't about how much effort you put in. It's not about how desperately you want something. It doesn't matter how many hours you meditate, journal, or affirm your worth. The universe, the quantum field, the energy grid you exist in, does not respond to the intensity of your desire. It responds to the consistency of your frequency. The field listens to the signal beneath the surface, not the words you speak out loud, not the hope you broadcast to others, but the vibration you carry when you're alone, unguarded, unfiltered. The part of you that's running quietly in the background. That's the frequency that writes your reality. Most people don't realize how often they slip back into the vibration of the person they used to be. Not because they want to stay the same, but because their subconscious mind is wired for familiarity. It recreates what it knows. It mirrors what feels safe. And for the subconscious, safe doesn't mean good. It simply means predictable. So even when you consciously choose new thoughts, new intentions, new habits, your deeper energetic baseline may still be tuned to an older version of you. And the quantum field, neutral, precise, unopinionated, simply reflects that frequency back with perfect accuracy, not out of punishment, but out of coherence. This is why you can tell the universe you're ready for abundance, but your body still vibrates with scarcity. You can script a beautiful relationship, but your nervous system still braces for abandonment. You can affirm success, but your internal dialogue still doubts your potential. And so the field reflects scarcity, abandonment, and doubt right back to you, because it's hearing the vibration you embody, not the words you say. This is the root of repeated cycles. The outer rituals change, the inner frequency stays the same. To understand this more deeply, imagine that your energy broadcasts a signal like a radio tower. Your conscious mind plays the music you want the world to hear, but your subconscious broadcasts the frequency that actually reaches the world. And the universe responds to that deeper signal, not the one layered on top. That's why you can work hard, try new techniques, and still end up in similar experiences. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because a part of you is still tuned to an outdated frequency. In the quantum model, reality exists not as a fixed structure, but as a field of endless possibilities. Every potential version of your life already exists as a wave of probability, but a probability becomes your lived experience only when your energy aligns with it. Alignment isn't about thinking positively. It's about coherence between your thoughts, your emotions, your expectations, and your embodied frequency. When these pieces are out of sync, your signal becomes scattered, and a scattered signal cannot override an old stable frequency no matter how much you want it to. Neuroscientists say that up to 95% of your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors come from unconscious programming. That means only 5% of your energy is consciously trying to create something new, while 95% is reinforcing what already exists. So you end up repeating the same relationship dynamics, the same money patterns, the same emotional cycles, not because you failed to manifest, but because your subconscious is still broadcasting an old signal. Your body, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, becomes the unconscious mind. It memorizes stress, survival responses, emotional habits, familiar fears. And when you try to step into a new version of yourself, your body resists, not out of malice, but out of conditioning. It tries to pull you back to what is familiar, because familiar feels safe, even when it hurts. That resistance is the loop, the sabotage, the procrastination, the anxiety, the sudden loss of motivation. These aren't signs that you're failing. They're signs that your old frequency is trying to hold its place. Because shifting into a new reality requires shifting into a new vibration, and that means stepping into unfamiliar emotional territory. Your subconscious protests. It wants the old rhythm back. But that moment of resistance is actually evidence that you're standing at the threshold of a new, energetic identity. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to your vibrational identity. And identity is not what you say you are. Identity is what your energy says you are. It's what you tolerate, what you expect, what you subconsciously accept as normal. It's the emotional climate you live in when you're not performing alignment, not trying to manifest, not attempting to be high vibe. Your identity is the frequency you settle into when you're simply being. And if that frequency has not upgraded, your reality cannot upgrade either. You cannot create a life of expansion while living in the emotional patterns of contraction. You cannot manifest abundance while embodying scarcity. You cannot attract love while vibrating fear. You cannot embody your future self while clinging to the emotional past. Trying to force a new reality while carrying an old frequency is like trying to broadcast a new song through an old radio station. The signals simply won't match. This repetition is not a punishment. It is a mirror, a vibrational feedback loop showing you exactly where your energy has been living. The field is not judging you, it is reflecting you. And that reflection gives you the opportunity to become conscious of your unconscious patterns so you can finally shift them instead of repeating them. The shift does not begin with effort. It begins with awareness. The moment you recognize the loop, you create space between who you've been and who you're becoming. That space is the doorway to quantum change. When you begin to notice your emotional triggers, your old thoughts, your habitual responses, not with judgment, but with curiosity, you disrupt the automatic pattern. The moment you witness the loop, you are no longer inside it unconsciously. You become the observer, and the observer holds the power to choose a new frequency. This is where coherence begins. Coherence isn't about forcing yourself to feel good. It's about becoming aligned with the energy of the version of yourself you're stepping into. And that alignment begins not with perfection, but with presence. Presence is what allows you to interrupt familiar emotional states. It lets you catch yourself before slipping into the old vibration. Presence gives you the power to breathe instead of react, to pause instead of collapse, to witness instead of repeat, and in that pause, you begin to weaken the signal of the old identity. You lower its volume, you interrupt its momentum. The field begins to sense the shift long before the physical world changes, because the moment your frequency changes, your reality begins reorganizing behind the scenes. One of the earliest signs of a true quantum shift is emotional discomfort, not the kind born from chaos, but the subtle unease that comes from stepping out of familiar patterns. You might feel uncertain, stretched,
exposed. But this discomfort is not a warning. It's evidence that you are expanding beyond the emotional boundaries of your old identity. The unfamiliar is not a threat. It is your future calling you forward. Another sign is synchronicity, recurring numbers, symbolic dreams, unexpected opportunities, intuitive nudges that feel too aligned to ignore. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that your energy is reorganizing, that your field is becoming coherent. But synchronicities are invitations, not guarantees. They ask you to choose. Will you trust the unfolding, even when you can't see the outcome, or will you retreat into the familiar frequency of your past? The liminal space between who you were and who you're becoming is uncomfortable because it is undefined. But that's where creation happens. That's where the old dissolves and the new emerges. You are asked to hold the vibration of your future self before the evidence appears. You are asked to embody the energy of your new identity while the world around you still looks unchanged. This is the essence of quantum manifestation. The field doesn't shift when life changes. Life changes when the field shifts. So, breathe. You are not failing. You are transitioning. You are not stuck. You are shedding. The old patterns are not returning to punish you. They are surfacing so you can finally release them. You are not looping. You are leveling. And the more you choose presence over reaction, alignment over fear, coherence over chaos, the more your frequency stabilizes into a new identity. This is where the real shift begins, not in effort, but in embodiment, not in forcing, but in allowing, not in chasing, but in becoming. You are not trying to escape your old reality. You are outgrowing it. And the universe is already responding to the new signal you're beginning to send. Keep choosing the frequency of your future self. Keep showing up as the version of you who already lives the life you desire. The loop ends when the identity ends. The signal changes when you change. And your new reality begins the moment you decide to hold the vibration of the person you were always meant to be. Welcome to your new frequency.